We're live. Good morning, OrthoNebraska. It's been a long time since we've gotten together. We have a lot to share, a number of very, I think, fun topics, a couple reminders around things that are going on within the organization as well as throughout the community. I'll pull up the agenda here real quick. We're gonna talk through the employee of the quarter. We're gonna talk through our second annual week of giving. What's going on with wellness screenings, a few COVID updates, and then Ann Wright is actually going to join us and talk a little bit about what we're doing related to our digital strategy, which I am really excited about. I think it starts to set the framework for how we move forward and how we can interact with more of our patients digitally. I think there's a lot of demand for that. We saw that during the early stages of COVID and the utilization of telehealth. I think you probably all use a lot more digital banking than you ever have or ever anticipated. So how do we do that and deliver great experience and advice? So we're going to walk through all of those agenda items, but to start with, we want to share more and more good news with you. And so I'm actually going to bring on Miss Kelly Fuker. Kelly.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hi.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
Awesome. Kelly has, I think, a pretty great story around good news and how we take care of one another, how we take care of our patients, and really every single one of our patients gets a little slice of magic, and she's going to share a little story with all of you. So I'm going to turn it over to Kelly.
Thanks for having me. I just want to start out. Some of you know my dad had a total knee in December. And that experience has been nothing but fabulous. He's 75 years old. My mom and dad live in Nebraska City. They have other options. He's been aware that he needed a new knee for a couple of years, but he started living in a lot of pain, limiting what his abilities to do what he loved. And in October, he said, I'm ready to do this. And when he decides he's ready, he's ready. And so he said, well, where do you think I should go? And without hesitation, I said, you know the answer to that question, but you have to decide what you want to do. I have so much pride for where I work and for the work that gets done here every single day. I refer a lot of people, but it's most important that they have confidence and trust in where they're going. So about a week later, he called and said, I have an appointment. I'm going to go see Dr. Goebel. And the next day, he said, I have a surgery scheduled. And that was fantastic. But, having a surgery in the middle of a pandemic is a little bit different than a routine normal surgery. And so he was very prepared. All along the way, he got his questions answered. He got my mom's questions answered, which probably were most important. She's a retired nurse, and so that was really something that she needed comfortable confidence and trust in going through this process as well. But I'll be honest, when he came and my mom had to drop him off at the door and she couldn't be here for the day, I couldn't be here for the day and visit him. That was different. But what gave me so much faith and confidence is that I trust the people without a doubt that he was going to be cared for. But the experience is something that we hear about, we read about in our NRC surveys, but to experience that firsthand is pretty special. He shared somewhere in his visit here that cheeseburgers were his favorite, and on his last day, his lunch was a cheeseburger, and he'd also shared that oatmeal cookies are his favorite treat. So he had an oatmeal cookie packed up in his pocket to eat on the way home. I just can't thank everybody enough for taking care of my dad. He's 10 weeks post-op, and he was shoveling the neighbor's driveway last week. And he was very proud to call and brag yesterday that he'd been on a 2-mile walk, which he wants to do, he loves to do, and you guys have given him his life back. So I just wanted to express my gratitude, my thanks, and a personal story that we all can relate to. So knowing that my work family was caring for my personal family made it all the more special. And I just want to say thank you.
Well, Kelly, actually, your dad is on the phone here, and so I'm gonna make sure that this works, and maybe he has a couple notes that he wants to add on. So, sir, do you want to add on to that at all?
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Dad.
And an early happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, sweetheart.
That's
Thank
Mom
you.
stuck out there. I want to just reiterate everything she said. I guess there's two things I'd like to say that made me decide to go to OrthoNebraska. And one was Kelly's always talking about her work and always in a positive manner. And she just loves it there. And another thing is I decided that that's all you people do, and so I want to go somewhere where that's what they do. And my experience was just like Kelly said, very good. And I'm doing very well. And I want to thank everybody there that took part in any part of it that very much want to appreciate it. And everybody I never had a bad experience. I never met a bad person that I didn't think I was treated well and all. Everybody was great. So I want to thank you all, and thanks for the opportunity to speak here.
Awesome. Well, we are honored, really twofold. We're honored that you trusted us. I know that Dr. Goebel is very honored that he got the chance to take care of you, and we are very honored that Kelly is part of our team. Our team is very special to us. We're really proud of what we do, and so thank you twofold.
You bet. And I was very pleased with Dr. Goebel, and he's very easy to talk to and answered all my questions. And so thank you very much, everybody.
Awesome. Happy birthday, Kelly.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Kelly.
Bye, Mom and Dad.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Awesome. A little bit of a surprise for you, Kelly.
Thank you. It's awesome when your personal family and your work family overlap. They both mean so much. So thank you.
Yeah. And I think the to me, the message of the story really is the fact that we treat everybody this way. Everybody is a key part of what we do. The magic isn't just for Kelly's dad or for my mom, my dad, who have also had procedures here. The magic we create is for every single one of our patients. And so I want to reiterate a huge thank you, just like Kelly said, to every single one of our caregivers, every single one of those that make things happen in the background. I think we have a great organization. We have a super strong team, and I can't be more thankful. So awesome, Kelly. Thanks for sharing your story. We're going to let you
Bye,
go.
everybody. Thank you.
All right. Awesome story. Okay, so for the agenda, walk through some more of the topics here. Employee of the quarter is the first thing we want to talk about. This notification came out, I think, maybe 2 weeks ago or so. Q4 winner is Susan Martinez. She's in our orthopedic clinic. Just amazing rave reviews of how much of a team member, how much of a great patient liaison, patient champion that Susan is. So lots of great comments. We're really proud of Susan and all of our 2020 winners. Can't wait for later on in the year and try to determine who our employee of the year is. So if you see Susan, tell her congratulations and thanks for all the work that she does for OrthoNebraska. All right. Week of Giving. Week of Giving this is our second year that we've done a Week of Giving. We're going to do this really next week, March 1st through the 8th. And the reason why we started this Week of Giving is really a recognition of how much the community helps us, how much the community has placed a lot of trust in what we do, and to then give back. And there's so many different ways that we can give back. And so we wanted to try to think through those opportunities, how we can give time, talent, treasure. And so what we've done is we've really enumerated those different opportunities, tried to make it somewhat easy for you, if you can give, to select some of these and contribute back and give back to the community. So we'll have our one-time or ongoing donations to the United Way. We have the opportunity to give blood. The Red Cross will be out here on March 3rd. I've already signed up, so if you can, please give blood. We can volunteer with Keep Omaha Beautiful. I think there's some details that are out or will be coming out on when and how we can help clean up some city trails. The Humane Society, big support for Town and Country Humane Society, Habitat for Humanity. I'm on the board for Habitat for Humanity. The Restore is a great resource for the community, things that you're looking to get rid of that others can really use. You can donate that. I think there's some tax favorability on how you donate those, and then they sell those at a deep discount to those that are in need of cabinets, of appliances that still work, of furniture, really anything that you don't necessarily need in your house that others can use. And then we've actually partnered with the Positive Coaching Alliance. There's a workshop on March 4th that you can attend. And then lastly, there's so many different ways to give back. Our local first responders, senior citizen centers, et cetera, throughout the community that have really been hit hard this year. We're just asking for people to either write a letter, have someone, maybe somebody in your household, one of your little ones in the household, can draw a picture, something that's pretty meaningful, and we can route those letters or messages and pictures back to the first responders or senior citizens. So I think there's some details out there on the internet or in the newsletters. And if you have any questions on this, please reach out to me. Please reach out to Katie Banach, and we can help you get coordinated. Next agenda item is wellness screenings. So don't forget, which maybe I did now that I'm reading this out loud. I think I have forgotten to sign up for the wellness screenings, our annual wellness screenings. The next week, I think the app is actually very easy. We've done a lot of work to make sure it's easy to sign up and monitor your progress. So if you haven't downloaded the app, go ahead and do that. There's other ways to sign up. But they're going to be held in the outpatient surgery center that we're no longer occupying, but using here and there. There's 100 points for this event, and obviously they have a pretty significant impact on your premiums for next year on the health plan. So these are the dates. Sign up and let us know. Let Jamie or the team know in HR if you have any questions on this at all. Obviously, they're here to help and want to help. Okay, COVID update. I'm going to bring in John and Peg, and we'll do a quick update on what's going on within the community and here at OrthoNebraska related to COVID-19. We have shown this slide very consistently. We have experienced over 200,000 cases in the state of Nebraska. Unfortunately, we're over 2,000 deaths tied to COVID in the state of Nebraska since this all started. Right now in the community, the resource utilization, which is what is most important from my perspective, is we're sitting pretty good. There's 91 total inpatients diagnosed with COVID. There's a few PUIs or people under investigation. The use of ventilators, I think as a proportion of total patients that are actually in the hospital is up, but the total utilization is down, and the availability of ventilators, I think clearly we've learned so much that that's probably not the course of care for most of these patients. And so the utilization in total, or the availability, I should say, is down. 300 beds available, 80% occupancy rate. And I think what we proved during that, those pretty tense moments in November and into the beginning of December is that we do have the capacity to move patients out of those beds, create some capacity. OrthoNebraska contributes to that. So I think the management of the resources is something that's front and center. And I think we've really learned how to manage that. And lastly, I think some really good news, no positive team members right now, no members in quarantine. The vaccination rollout, which is actually on the next slide here at OrthoNebraska has been really sound. I want to thank you all for really contemplating getting vaccinated. I know some of you that haven't really agonized over whether or not to do this, and so I think there'll continue to be opportunities. Keep reaching out to Peg, to John, to me, to Chris Volmuth on any questions related to this. But I'm really proud of all of you for stepping up and taking on the responsibility to help out the community in this way. So in Nebraska, there are just, we'll call it 380,000 vaccinations that have been administered so far. 8% of 16 years of age and older have been vaccinated. And obviously, I think Johnson & Johnson, that's going to get approved here pretty quickly. So more availability, an additional vaccine. I think all of the existing Pfizer, Moderna, their production is dramatically ramping up. And so I think the wide availability will also continue to grow. So with that, I ran through all of that in very quick manner, but Peg, John, I'd love your thoughts, context. I know that there's going to be some questions, John and Peg, around, well, now that I'm fully vaccinated, what do I get to do? What should I do? How do I interact with others that have or haven't? So maybe let's start there, and then we can work backwards on anything that I missed or glossed over quickly. So
sure. So with more and more people being vaccinated, we've been keeping a close eye on the guidelines and the precautions that need to be taken. There haven't been any major changes, I would say, up to this point, but we have heard through from Dr. Fauci that sometime in the near future, we anticipate there being some different guidelines for those that have been vaccinated. So we're keeping a very close eye on that. Also waiting for those recommendations. We've been getting a lot of questions around our visitor policy, our restrictions to the cafe, people asking now that we've been vaccinated, can we go out with our teams and have these larger events? And we're still proceeding cautiously with all of these things. And really, we don't want to get ahead of anything. We want to make sure we have good data to understand the impact of the vaccines. One of the biggest things we're waiting to learn is those who've been vaccinated, if they can carry the virus still and pass it on. Peg, I don't know if you want to touch a little bit on some of that.
Sure. One of the things with the trial that they did that they didn't do was monitor transmissibility once vaccinated. And what we know from other coronaviruses is that even though you may have antibodies for that virus, if you're exposed to someone, your body could be colonized with it and you could shed and spread to someone, even though you might not get sick. So what we're concerned about at this point is waiting to get more data, and that data will come as more and more people are vaccinated, to find out if that transmissibility is really an issue or not. So we're all hoping it's not, but we've got to wait until there's enough people vaccinated so they can study it and give us some more guidance on that. So wait and see. Hopefully it's not a problem.
Yeah, so what our plan is, we're going to wrap up our vaccines here in the next 2 weeks. Our plan is to then get together with our core team and reevaluate those key precautions that we have in place for our organization, and then look to see what the current guidance is from the CDC and the local and state recommendations, and see what we can modify or not. To still, like I said, we want to still do this in a conservative manner. We've done such a great job managing this up to this point that I think our cautious approach has really helped us be successful in keeping the spread down. And I think we also need to remember too that, COVID is, while we're seeing better numbers and things like that, Leva and I were just talking, that it's still close. I mean, you can talk to a lot of people that have been impacted by this pretty significantly. Some with their immediate family members and things like that that have still got really sick. And so it's not that it's gone away. And so we still need to take this seriously, but at the same time, this has kind of become part of our norm, unfortunately. And we still need to move forward. So I thought it was great today too, to still hear some of the great things that we've been doing at OrthoNebraska, because those have continued to happen all throughout all of this. So I think it's great that we can start to shift a little bit more focus to those things, but still need to stay close to the COVID.
Yeah, I think that's right, John. I think we can do both things. I think we can embrace that the news that's coming out around how effective in the real world these vaccines are. Cases are down dramatically in the state of Nebraska. Hospitalizations are down dramatically in the state of Nebraska. There is a lot of really good news. I think we can celebrate that at the same time. Also, be very cautious, be very smart, so we don't jeopardize that good news and have it turn against us. And so I think it's okay to do both. I think the tendency is it's either one or the other. I think in this situation, it's both. A lot of good news coming out, but we still need to be smart, cautious, and thoughtful for one another. So I don't know.
And there's still 100 people in the hospital in Omaha with COVID, and still a dozen or so on vent. So it's still out there, and it's still being transmitted. So we still need to take it serious.
Peg, on the vaccines in general, anything else you want to add on things that we're learning related to the safety? Anything you want to add on the pipeline of the companies that are coming out? Any education you want to give?
Sure. There's been a lot about the variants on the news and about what the companies are doing, and there, one of the discussions was in one of our 9 o'clock calls, and also in the literature, is that so far the variants are still covered under the vaccine. They are working on boosters, particularly for the South African. Oh, my light just went off.
There you go.
Never happened before. I never sit that still. So anyway, the variants at this point seem to be not a problem with the vaccine. But as people get more and more sick and transmit it, the vaccines are going, or the viruses are going to mutate more and more. So it's key to get that as many people vaccinated as fast as possible, so that those variants don't get worse. Because we know, like with flu or with other coronas, that variants are going to happen. So far so good. J&J, as you heard, is coming out. It is very effective. It basically cut all hospitalizations and deaths of the people who had been vaccinated. So we're looking forward to that one-shot vaccine in the near future. And Nebraska is ready to get thousands of doses in the next week of that. So it's going to happen. And I just want to say one more thing, is how you guys have no idea how excited Kathy and I have been when we talk every day about who's in quarantine, who's in isolation. When we first had our first zero, it was a best day. So we just want to thank you all, because we're not doing that. You are taking precautions, you're using common sense, and it's showing. So thank you so much.
And stepped up and took on the vaccine. So
yep,
it's awesome. Peg, thank you so much. John, anything else you want to add before we move on topics?
Just one last reminder, with the strong push, both from a local, state, I guess, and national level too, to try to get vaccines in arms, so to speak, reallocation is happening a lot. And so they're monitoring daily the vaccines that are being administered and who has what. So it's really important for us to get our vaccines done. And once we finish our clinics here in the next 2 weeks, we'll have, if we have any vaccine left, we're going to have to reallocate that. So if you're wanting the vaccine, we need to know. Basically, by next week.
Hey.
That today.
Yeah.
So just there'll be other opportunities in the community, but as far as what we'll be able to offer here at OrthoNebraska, just wanted to make sure people understood that this is kind of the last call.
Reallocation means what? What does that mean?
So that means it would, if we have any vaccine that's left that we're not using, like have a plan to use in the very immediate future, that we then talk to the county health department, and then they tell us where that vaccine should go to. So it could be a local pharmacy. It could be another facility. They do that direction for us.
Yeah. So in other words, we can't just sit on doses and wait for people.
Correct.
To come on and need some. John Pegg, I'm going to ask a question. I have no idea if we've even discussed, but we do have people that start in the organization. So somebody that starts in a month.
Yep.
Are we reserving some for them, or how do we get allocation for those that might be starting in the future? How does that work?
Peg, do you want to talk about the?
So sure. What the city and state are looking at for healthcare workers and other essential workers is that they would have a site where when we have new people or even old employees who now decided they wanted the vaccine, that we would direct them to that site. Okay. And one of the sites they're looking at is the old Super Saver on 144th here, just up the street. So that would be nice and handy for our employees. So we're going to hear more about that this week, but we will have a site for people to get the vaccine.
Awesome. All righty. Thank you, Peg. Thanks for all your work. Bye-bye.
Bye.
John, I'm gonna have you stay on. We'll talk about one more topic related to return to the office. We have a number of our team members that are working remotely. We know that because of our success in vaccinations, that there is an opportunity for more of our team members to come back to the office to work. And there's need for some of that. And we recognize that. We still want to make sure that we're doing this again, smartly, cautiously, and with plenty of awareness. So we are working on a plan with the managers. We think that this is going to be more department specific than, across the board. When we made the decision to get people to work from home, it was a single policy, a single approach. We just wanted to get people into a little safer environment. So we made that decision across the board. But coming back, we're going to make that more department specific. And so the managers will be guiding this. The HR team, the facilities team is working on individual department plans. So over the next week or so, those plans will then start to be shared with then each department. But again, we'll make sure that if you are kind of expected to come back to the office to work, that you'll have a couple weeks to make that adjustment. So I don't know, John, anything else to add on that as part of the command center working on this topic?
No, I think the biggest thing is just continue to communicate and work with your department managers as we work through this.
Yep. Okay. John, I think that's all I have for you today. Thanks for being on.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Last topic we're going to get into is, again, our digital strategy. Ann, I'm going to add Ann Wright to our stream. Hello, Ann. You're on mute, Ann.
Good morning, Levi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on. You're on mute. It's a saying for 2020. It's the new saying. So
that is true.
So I'm going to turn it over to Ann. Ann, I'd love for you to tell the entire team what we're working on. Introduced it at the very top of our little broadcast here, but I'd love for you to go into a little bit more detail on what we're attempting to do. I also want to mention that Ann was very selfless in taking on this responsibility. It's a huge project. It's an important project. It's something that I think is very critical for the success of OrthoNebraska as we go forward. And Ann stepped up I think she's the right person to tackle this big problem. She also has a big team around her, a lot of different departments from access to marketing, all involved in this. And so first, I want to thank Ann for tackling this problem, and I want to thank the entire team for starting to get our hands around the scope and size of this huge project. So thank you, Ann, and I'll turn it over to you to start talking through.
Great. Thanks, Levi. And as you said, I think you hit the nail on the head with your first statement of this is an organization-wide project that touches every aspect of OrthoNebraska, and I don't ever want to lose that point to the entire team. So I think as a transition, Levi had mentioned earlier, specifically to us about how our consumers, our patients are interacting with technology now more than ever. I think we've known that this was coming, and I think it got sped up a little bit with the pandemic, but it's an exciting time for us. And as we've been looking at over the last couple of years, we've been talking about our digital strategy and how do we interact with our patients digitally and do this to streamline work for our providers, streamline for our staff, but keeping the patient as the focus of this strategy to grow OrthoNebraska and continue to improve on our patient experience. We provide an exceptional patient experience, and we want to continue to do that. And we want to see how we can augment that with technology. So this project itself is focusing on how do we interact with our existing patients and our potential new patients with technology, but allowing it to be flexible and easy for our patients. So we have opportunities, and we've recognized that opportunities for our patients and our staff and our providers to have safer and more efficient focused technology experiences that we focus that directly impact our outcomes and our experience scores. So how do we do that with technology and include that in all aspects of our care and increase and provide operational needs for OrthoNebraska? As we were looking at that, it kind of, obviously it focuses on the themes of frictionless, patient-centered, and scalable. But as we kind of sat back as a group, all the different teams that Levi was speaking of, we looked at what does our patient journey look like? And we have a patient journey, and all of the teams sat down together and discussed what does this patient journey look at. And we kind of identified three main areas that are themes. We want to target and acquire new patients. We want to deliver and manage healthcare. And then we also want to engage and retain. So as you see this patient journey, we've identified with the marketing team, with the patient access team, with our clinical team, how can we target and acquire more patients? And in each of these little areas are focus or things that we think we want to do for our patients. How can we reach out and run automated drip campaigns with patients? How can we bring in new business for our patients? How can we let our patients that were already here before recommend to their neighbor that this is the best place to be? How do we then allow those patients to online self-schedule? And once we convert those patients, those prospective and those previous patients, how do we then deliver and manage healthcare and giving them that exceptional experience that we have already created, but how do we maybe standardize that, and how do we make that even better? So we talk about doing online patient forums ahead of time. We talk about what kind of internal communications or communications we have with patients once they become engaged in our care. So how do we give them the patient reminders and ahead of time? How do we touch base with them and say, hey, welcome to OrthoNebraska. We see that you're scheduled for surgery. Before surgery, we need you to follow up with your practitioner. We need you to go see your cardiologist. We need you to see your pulmonologist, all before you come in and have surgery with us. And we can have those intimate touch bases that are specific to that patient all the way up through their plan of care, whether it be pre-surgical, post-surgical, physical therapy. We want to reach out, touch those patients, make sure that they've hit their milestones. And if they're not hitting the milestones, what can we do with them, and how can we interact with that patient real time, whether it be a chat back and forth, via their phone, that it's just a text message. Years ago, we were focused on a patient portal and communication and touch points with that. And this is bigger, and this is more focused on real-time communication. We don't want them to have to log into systems or whatnot. So then we go into engaging and retaining those patients. Like I said before, all these touch points that we have as far as communication back and forth and keeping them on their care journey. Now we want to be able to long-term retain those people and keep them engaged, encourage them to come back and seek services with us again, continue to have those conversations with their neighbors and their loved ones and their families to send them back to OrthoNebraska. So that's kind of the patient journey that we're looking at. But this journey is something that I think every single person on this call listening to this is part of. Yeah. And we want to elicit feedback from you guys. What are we missing, or what do you view as great opportunities for us? So that's kind of, I think, one of the things, Levi, we wanted to reach out to all of our staff and say, are we there? Are we missing anything? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I think there's a couple really important points in really the reason why we're talking about this, as well as what are the takeaways. I'm listening to this and I'm trying to understand exactly, well, what are you asking of us? And I think it is exactly what Ann said. It's what are we missing? What are our opportunities? What needs to be standardized in order to deliver this type of digital experience? And not in a digital experience where we're further away from our patients. It's so we can actually be closer to them. We can stay in contact. This is not something that's going to happen overnight. It's going to go in pieces. So for instance, some of you may have heard about Luma Health, which is a product that can enable the online self-scheduling that Ann talked about. That's a project that's going on right now. That might move one piece of how we do this forward, but we're going to need your help. And all of you have a unique experience because you know how to deliver the care, you know how to deliver the billing services, you know how to deliver the reception and registration processes, but you're also consumers. You understand how you want to interact with smart companies that are using technology. And so we want your ideas. We're going to need your ideas. I think in a very rural setting like Nebraska is, this is really important in order to stretch the corners of the state of Nebraska. And you guys have heard me over and over again talk about the idea that if we really have created this great experience, then more people in the state deserve access to it. This is how we're going to deliver that access. So it's a big project. We need your engagement. We need your ideas. This isn't necessarily going to happen overnight, but we wanted to introduce it today to make sure that you're aware, and as we ask for your help, you're somewhat prepared. So that's the goal. That's the takeaway. And again, I just want to thank Ann for leading us through this. Anything else you want to add, Ann?
No, I think you summarized it really well. And just like you said, there's exciting things coming up with the online self-scheduling and being able to enhance our patient reminder texts and phone calls with patients. So there's things that are on the horizon that are just super exciting for the organization and for our patients more than anything.
Yep. Awesome.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann. Great job. Okay. There's just one more topic I want to cover. There's not a lot of questions that are coming in, but if you have them, please do submit them and let me know offline as well if there's anything that you want us to address. We can get some emails out. You can call me, you can call any of your managers and talk through these topics. The last thing I want to talk about is some really mixed emotion news. Many of you actually know that Doug Page is taking on a new challenge within the community, a different healthcare provider, using all of his experience that he's gained, his long tenured experience as a provider of care, as a physical therapist, as running the physical therapy department, running other service departments and even pursuing his MBA to really understand the full business of healthcare. He's done a great job for us. He's taking on a new role within the community. But unfortunately, there's also another one that's going to be leaving our leadership team. Dave Zuha, who's been with the organization for a very long time, has been super instrumental in really building what OrthoNebraska is a super positive, amazing person that everybody knows. He's also going to be taking on an opportunity, a big challenge, something that we are all very excited that he gets the opportunity to take on. But we unfortunately are going to miss him. He's going to be taking on a new leadership role in a different community in the musculoskeletal space. So he's going to be taking on that challenge. We're super thrilled for him, but we are going to miss him. And so please, he's going to be around for another, I think about 8 weeks, doing different projects as he transitions into that new role. But please do me a favor, reach out to Dave, tell him how important he is to the organization, wish him well, and please reach out to me and the other executives, the other leadership team around any questions around how responsibilities get shifted. We have some work to do to figure that out. More will be coming out in, we'll call it a week or so. But I think first and foremost, we just really need to thank Dave and Doug for everything that they've done for the organization and wish them a ton of success. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off with that news. As always, thanks for everything that you guys do for OrthoNebraska. We have had such a successful but challenging 2020. We're off to a great start in 2021. There's so many great things that are happening because of all of your help. And I just want to thank you. And on behalf of all the shareholders as well, a huge thank you and kudos for the hard work. So be well, and we'll see you in a couple months.